Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you. Today we're finally going to get a chance to look at the AMD 7800 X3D. Now I know I am a little late to the party and I do have a story to tell you about that. But to try and make things a little bit more interesting, I do normally now test my CPUs with a 4090 to try and absolutely obliterate the CPU, and so that we can see what they can actually do with at the moment the fastest graphics card on the planet. But to make things a little bit more interesting, I've tested the X3D, or the 7800 X3D, with a 4070 as well. It's because it's that little bit closer to the price point, and I think it's closer to where a lot of you might end up buying a graphics card to pair this with. So I thought it would make things a little bit more interesting compared to the other reviews that have already been put live and have been around for a little while. But let's take a look at this first. Do you have the annoying activate Windows icon on your desktop, or you're planning on building a new rig and need a fresh key? Then head over to SCD Key, where you can buy Windows 10 and Windows 11 codes. Don't forget, you can purchase a Windows 10 code to activate Windows 11. This is something where you can save a few pounds. But if you go and hit Windows 10, hit buy it now, and then when it takes you to the basket, you can use OC3D as your promotional code, and that will give you 25% off any of the Windows codes that I'll show you today. Once you've hit submit order, it will take you through to the payment options, and you can pay by credit, debit card, PayPal, Mint or NeoSurf. And once you hit pay now, you'll receive your code into your email inbox. If you head over to the SCD Key website, then you will be able to buy discounted versions of the latest games and also software like Office as well, if you are interested. Okay, so the pre-roll side of things, it is a new thing. Loads of people already do it. Yes, I am starting to do it. No, I don't get kickback. But if you do need Windows, I think it is a pretty good deal with that 25% off. And I won't talk about it again, but I will apparently throw the box around all over the place and it nearly whacked me in the face. Don't laugh. Now, I did say I had a little story to tell you, and I do, and that is, why am I so late with a review? Well, AMD had two of these to send around all of the press in the UK. Now, I know my place. If there's two, I'm definitely not going to be on the first couple of iterations, and that's fine. I'm a big boy. But I will say that I don't really think two is good enough when these things are awesome. But also, the other kind of flip side to this is, the reason why there's not many sent out to the press is there haven't been that many that far hit the shops either. The actual numbers on these have been incredibly limited. The other ones that were launched I did manage to test those and I was quite lucky, but these have almost been a paper launch. It's been a little bit silly because they are so very good, but there just aren't enough of them. So that's kind of why things have gone a little bit late. And it got so late, what ended up happening is AMD hadn't spoken to me about this, so I started talking to PC Specialist about this. Because PC Specialist had a couple of samples that they could use for internal testing or send out for system reviews. So I actually got the system in so that I could test the system, but then also take the CPU out and put it in my test rig and test the CPU that way. And just as PC Specialist said they were ready to send this out, AMD popped up and said they had one of these for me. Brilliant. Yeah. I don't like change. Things have changed here. Don't like it. Anyway, so I did manage to get one in the end, but it did mean that I could test these two side by side. Yes, the test rig is over there, but it's because I'm doing other things with it, as I'm sure you can probably imagine. So what I've ended up doing is testing this one with the 1490 and then tested this one which has a 4070 from Palette in it. Now what I did think was it might be interesting where we have a completely different graphics card closer to the price point. You can tell I've just run up the stairs, but also to see how things match. Because as you'll see in a bit, there's sometimes that this system beats a 13900K and a 4090, which is kind of a bit nuts. We'll put the links to this system underneath. It did come from PC Specialist, comes in at 1799, complete system, ready to rock and rumble, water cooling in it, or the PC Specialist 240mm. It's a Corsair 4000D airflow. There's Corsair power supply, Corsair memory. It ticks a lot of boxes, and obviously you can just click on it and buy it. You can also change the graphics card and stuff as well, because it is fully customizable and configurable. And again, not being paid to talk to you about this, it's just because things worked out so awkwardly trying to get the review done that I was trying to make sure that I could actually get the test data put in the graphs. Now, performance wise, I didn't get a 7800 from AMD originally. It wasn't one of the processors that they sent out on the sampling plan. We just got the 77, the 79 and the 7950. I think I got a 76 as well. So I didn't get the 78, so I don't have that in the graphs, and that's the only reason why, if they don't send it, it's not in the graphs. But I have done all of the other X3Ds, so that's kind of nice that you've got those to kind of link to. But in complete honesty, this was the one all along that I personally wanted to see, because it's so much more gamer focused. Yes, it's got less cores, but it was the one that had a lower price point and could be much better for gamers. If you're looking at this in like a content creation kind of way, it sits in the graph where you'd kind of expect. It's not a 7900X. It's not meant to be a 7900X though. It's a £400 CPU, not a £700 CPU. And it performs accordingly. Doesn't use too much power, isn't particularly that hard to cool, but you do need to remember that these processors are designed to boost themselves to the limit of the cooling that you put in them. And if you go with a 240 like this, you are going to do very well, but you do get probably a quieter life if you go up to like the 360s and stuff. But if you're not one of those people that want an utterly silent room when you're gaming, it's not really going to matter. But yes, you do need to spend a little bit more than a 120 AIO if you want to get the absolute best from it and have a quiet life. But like I said, the multi-core stuff did where you would expect, but it's the gaming stuff where this really does come into its own. Now, you do need to remember there are two items in the graphs. One is this processor with a 4090. That's just the one where you can see it says the X3D. But there is the second one in the graphs where it says and 4070, and that is this one. Some of the results were actually quite an eye-opener. For example, Cyberpunk. You can see it did incredibly well. But some of the results are actually much more of an eye-opener than you may think. So if you look carefully, you can see that the 4070 with the X3D is actually above a 13900K with a 4090. Now, I do need to stress this isn't in every game, but it does show you what is possible when things are optimized correctly. Now, obviously, the 4090 is still above it again, but the games that actually do like the cache on these, you can see it does incredibly well, where it drags basically the performance of the system up from what was up, so you're getting the performance above two graphics cards above it. And I mean, that in itself is rather nuts, and it does make me wish that more developers would work more keenly on trying to get these to work better. Now, none of the results that I've seen were bad in any sense of the realm, and I've been trying to keep the video clean, concise and to the point, because in reality, out of all of them, if it is gaming, then this would be the one that I would buy. If you're telling me I'm building a gaming rig, Tom, and I've got £500 to spend on a CPU, I tell you to buy this. To be fair, if you said I'm just gaming, Tom, and I have £600 to spend on a CPU, I would still tell you to buy this. So effectively what you can do with this is save money on your CPU, just plough it into your graphics card instead. Now sure, that is going to cheer Jensen up no end, but you've obviously got options on both sides of the camp and it will give you a benefit on both. Now obviously I have used NVIDIA because at the end of the day even AMD want me to test with a 4090 because they know it will stress the CPU out much more than the graphics cards that would normally be here, but we are currently completely retesting our graphics card test rig at the moment, so that's why they're not there at the moment. But they would rather me use a 4090 than the 7900 XTX to stress this out as well, which kind of says a lot. So absolutely epic gaming processor, and just because we've done things a little bit differently, there is said gaming processor with a 4070, and you can just go and click on the PC Specialist website and grab one of those if you'd like. You've seen the performance, you've seen what it can do, even against a 13900K and a 4090, and it's 1800 quid. Completely up to you what you want to do. Build your own, let them build it for you. It's just a win-win situation because that is epic.